One. Hey guys, Daniel here. This is another video, and in this video, I'm actually joined by the legendary Doc Shaner. For those of you who don't know, Doc is an American comic book artist. He's actually the current artist on Strange Adventures with Mitch Gerards and Tom King, but he's also known for his work in comics such as Superman, Doom Patrol, the terrific Supergirl, Shazam Convergence, Future Quest, Flash Gordon, Three Guys, Decisions, Disasters, covers for the Silver Age Omnibus series, where he did covers for the Justice League of America, Doom Patrol, Superman, Green Lantern, Supergirl, The Flash, Batman, Wonder Woman. I'm giving him such a long introduction. There's only 2 more pages of comics left to go through. He's also done covers on Flash Forward, Young Justice, Green Arrow, Batman Beyond, Supergirl, Dial H for Hero, and a few more. But thank you so much for coming on, Doc. You see that? Like I was saying, my professionalism just straight away. As you can see, it's very well put together. But he's only done about 1 million comics. So, of course, Doc Shaner and this EJ here. But he's very kindly agreed to come on for an interview and let me annoy him for the next hour or so. But Doc, thank you so much for coming on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here, man.
I think it's mid-afternoon in America, and of course it's wet and rainy and dark and cold here in Ireland. So
it is the same here.
oh, brilliant. Now I know you're in the same misery I am. So we can both be miserable together in an oddly sweet way, bittersweet. Yeah, but thank you so much for coming on. So we'll just get right into the question. So my first question for you is, how did you get into comic books?
I as a reader or as an artist?
A reader.
Okay. I read the newspaper strips when I was a kid, like real little, and that's how I initially got into just comics in the broader sense. But and I liked superheroes as much as any kid of 6 or 7. Then I kind of fell out of it for a little bit around middle school or so, and into high school and into college, I got back into actually reading the superhero books from started with Marvel, with X-Men at the time. This would have been 2000
million years ago, maybe.
about a million, feels like it.
Prehistoric age, a little bit.
Right. But X-Men and Hulk, I think, is what got me back into comics, and shortly thereafter got into DC and kind of a little of everything throughout college. But yeah, high school and college superhero comics.
And was there ever a time where you, was there ever a time where you realized, okay, I want to get into comic books, I want to be a comic book artist? Take your time. We're in no rush. We have this for nothing.
I always wanted to be. Okay. Good to know. All right. Well,
while Doc ponders a little bit, we'll talk. So, how's your day been? It's going to take a few hours once he finally reaches the conclusion.
No, I always wanted to be a cartoonist. I didn't think, at least because of the way I drew back then, I never thought that superhero books or even comic books in general were going to be a thing for me. I drew so differently back then that I thought if I didn't get a job working in humor strips, I probably wouldn't be working in comics at all.
Yeah.
And I kind of fell backward into the comic book scene just by knowing people and being a fan of the stuff and being a regular reader. So it was, when I first started doing comic books, it was a pretty harsh learning curve, but that's, yeah, I kind of fell backward into it.
Yeah. So what was your first actual comic book work? I can't imagine you just went straight into DC. It would be ideal, but
yeah, it's, in retrospect, it feels that way, but no, at the time, I was working full time for about 4 or 5 years before DC came along, which in the grand scheme of things, I guess, is not that long, but it felt like it at the time. My first work was a 8-page story in an anthology for Oni Press that was all about roller derby, of all things.
Oh, yes, it's a very common comic book. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can't go outside. You can't go to a comic book shop without seeing a roller derby comic.
right. It's the ropes that everybody I know goes through. You start with your roller derby comic, and then you.
That's the problem with
Well,
comic book nowadays. Not enough roller derby comics.
right. That's we could use some more. But I also you mentioned working with Dave Hendrick,
Yes. I actually have
who's an
this.
old friend.
Now, as you see, like I said, I'm so professional. So, of course, I have to have some reading material here. But here it is. Oh, I'm holding up. Yeah, here it is.
No,
Tree
you got it.
Guys, Disasters. I actually talked about this on my channel like 2 years ago. So, little did I know, 2 years later, I'd be best friends with Doc Shaner. He basically said that himself, word for word. No need to get much into detail, but is this the comic you're talking about?
Yes, that's yeah, that was very early on. When I was still figuring out how to even do this.
Some of your pages there. It's
Yeah,
great,
yeah.
it's great, but it's not a roller derby comic, so
Yeah, forget it.
fling it away.
Thank you. Out the
Strange
window.
adventures here as well. I don't want this. I'm sure. I don't know how we ended up talking about roller derby comics. But like, do you look back at Three Guys, Decisions, Disasters, or maybe some of your other comics, your art, and think, "Oh, I've improved so much as an artist. I shouldn't have done that. The proportions were off on that, or anything like that."
Oh, I mean, I'm positive that that stuff would be in there, but I for the most part I don't look back at older stuff. And actually for a while now it's kind of been once I've turned everything in, it's dead to me. I don't look at it again. And every now and then somebody will show me something a few years down the road, and I'll say, "Oh, that actually turned out okay," or I have fond memories attached to it, to working on it, but I rarely look at my old stuff. And I'm sure if I did, I would, kind of nitpick over, like you mentioned, proportions and storytelling stuff. But more than anything, I see like, here's a kid who had no clue what he was doing in terms of how to tell a story.
You just start crying when you see some of your old pages. Why'd you show this to me?
No, because that young man is dead to me.
A lot of things seem to be dead to you. That's how you get into comics. Roller derbies and things being dead to you. I'm learning
Yep,
so much in this interview.
bury it all.
Yeah. And what better? No, we'll just go away from that question. I think that he went way deep into. No, I'm only messing around. But so yeah, how did DC come about? Did they just give you a phone call and say, "Here, want to work for us"?
I had, I think I'd done something small for Marvel, and I'd been working at on and off for Dark Horse for a few years on Dark Horse Presents and a few smaller books for them. And a friend of mine, writer Ron Mars,
Yes,
who's
I met
written.
him at Dublin Comic Con. We're basically best friends as well. He didn't really say that, but I could.
I noticed that you're best friends with a lot of people. I saw something earlier where you were saying you're best friends with Declan, and that we can't possibly be best friends with both of us. That's impossible.
Damn, you went deep into this research. How did you know I'm best friends with Declan?
Because Declan's a good friend of mine.
Damn.
I had to see.
This is like Inception. What? How'd you know? What? How'd you know I was friends with Declan Shelby?
I saw a video
You saw
where
my.
you introed him as your best friend, and I said, "No, he's going to try and tell me that we're best friends."
Damn.
Catch
You
him.
were ahead of the curve on this.
Get him in the act.
You knew me. You knew straight away. God, I've been caught out like this. My career's over. Detective Shane are on the case. You just showed up. So basically, you're a huge fan of my channel. That's what you're telling me. You've watched all my videos. Yeah.
Yep.
So basically, funny enough, I have a Patreon. Did I? No, I'm only messing. But if you'd like to make a cash donation, it all comes back to you. There's interest on it. But it can only go well. So basically, I'm so huge in the comic book community. Everyone knows my channel. That's what I'm hearing. I don't let it go to my head. I'm very humble. I'm very good about it, as I'm sure you can see. And it's like you only have 44,000 followers. So I like to make the time for smaller creators like you. So you can thank me for. I have a full 300 subscribers. So it's good to.
I really appreciate you shining your sunbeam on me for a minute.
I try. I figure maybe this will get you, like, you work for DC, which is, it's pretty adorable, but maybe I can get you high, I imagine president or something, because I have that type of pull.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
absolutely.
but so yeah, anyway, so you didn't explicitly say that we're not best friends. So I'm just gonna leave that. I'm just gonna leave it up for my own interpretation. But of
There you
course,
go.
so did you kind of feel pressured when it came to DC? Like, yes, I'm working for DC. Oh, I'm working for DC. I have to get this right.
It's funny. Like before I started doing anything for Marvel and DC, there was a long stretch there where starting out thinking I was never going to be able to make it in comic books, and then thinking, well, I could do indie comics. I could be an indie comics guy. Maybe I'll never get to do the superhero stuff, which of course I was a fan of, but I had made my peace with maybe I'll just be an indie comics guy for the rest of my life. And it was around that time that I got that offer. Going back to the Superman thing, my first DC book was Adventures of Superman with Ron Mars.
Wow.
The digital only. It started out digital only, and then they would collect it and print it later on. But Ron was a friend of mine through Twitter and the internet, and he had gotten approached to do a story for Adventures of Superman and asked for me as the artist. To which this day I'm thankful to him, because that was absolutely my foot in. I find out later that a lot of the stuff that has happened down the road at DC has been because of that first Superman book with Ron. So I'm always extremely thankful and grateful for Ron.
And here I thought I was best friends with Ron Mars when he's given other comic book people Superman. Like, he didn't even call me up. Could you believe it?
Yeah.
He really showed his
Yeah.
true face there. I'm only messing Ron Mars. Please forgive me. No, I'm not. So yeah, Superman, that's pretty big first comic to work for. So were you a fan of Superman growing up, or just in comics?
Growing up, I think I had an appreciation for Superman, would be a better way to put it. Kind of the way that, everybody kind of appreciates like Star Wars,
Yeah.
something where it's big enough in the culture and you at least know what it is,
Yeah.
in a broad sense. But I wouldn't say I was a huge Superman fan, but by the time Ron came around with the Superman story, I was a huge Superman fan.
Yeah.
So it was for a first gig at DC, it was definitely harrowing.
I can imagine. So, you obviously crumble under pressure, as you can see. I don't, but that's okay. We'll move on from that. But so, do you prefer the more type of optimistic heroes, or do you like the dark and gritty characters?
uh I don't know if it's a preference. I would say I enjoy reading that stuff more, but that isn't to say that I don't read a lot of the opposite
Yeah.
either. I think in terms of working on that stuff, yeah, I probably do. Working on the darker stuff, I think, especially longer term, especially with everything going on with COVID and being stuck at home for long stretches of time, uh, it, it's a struggle. I'll say with Strange Adventures, it's tough to work on a character that's kind of a bummer.
I can imagine so. But yeah, so getting to work on Superman, what was the most important thing for you while drawing him, or one element that you wanted to get right? Was it the big S on his chest, or the red underwear on the outside of his pants, or the little curl there?
Uh, I I think Ron had already written in to that first script some really iconic Superman beats, with Superman ducking into a closet and opening the shirt with the S reveal, and stuff with Lois and Jimmy, and he just gave me a lot of opportunities to kind of do that big, broad, the Superman everybody knows.
Yeah.
Whether you've read comics or TV or seen the TV shows or anything, even if you haven't seen the stuff, like that's a Superman thing. So he gave me a lot of opportunities. I approached it with the notion that this might be the only Superman story I ever get to do. So I really like, even though I didn't get to draw any of the big villains or some of the more recent like additions to Superman's cast and crew. You know, I got to draw Superman as Superman and Clark. I got to draw Lois and Jimmy. If that's all I ever got to do, I was good.
You got to draw Clark. Did you just make him look totally different, just so people couldn't be, or did you just give him the little calf?
I think I mean, I'd have to look at it again, but I think it was just glasses and you part his hair on the other side. That's part of the trick. And
like if you take off the cap, I'm like, where's Doc gone? Are you Tom King? What the hell?
Right. Tom and I look notoriously very similar. But you know that old Frank Quietly kind of trick where he's kind of hunched and he looks a little rounder. Just it's little nuances that differentiate the two.
And you got to work on Superman again with Brian Michael Bendis.
Yep.
Wow.
That was also a huge deal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a, you just kind of, loads of people want me to draw Superman. It just happens, you know, when you're Doc Shaner. It's so common, you wouldn't believe it. Yeah, so you got to work on Superman a couple of times, but another character who wears red, like I said, you're seeing some of my beautiful segue skills, Shazam or Captain Marvel, depending on how old you are.
Right.
So yeah, getting to work on a Captain, you did that for a Convergence story?
Yep, it was a tie-in to the Convergence event in 2015, I think. That sounds right. I don't know.
So a million years ago again.
You know? A million years ago, yeah.
Yeah. I only remember years where so important things happened to me. Like other years, well, they don't benefit me. So why would I care?
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it goes so well. Right. But that was with Jeff Parker, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and not only you also did a few comics with Jeff Parker, right?
Yeah. Yep. That was the second or third thing we did. I can't remember.
Did you get to draw like Billy Batson and Shazam?
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah. It was the same kind of approach as that Superman story with Ron, where Jeff and I both knew, like, you don't get to tell many Shazam stories. They're so, you know, compared to every other character, there's so few solo Captain Marvel books. So we knew, like, this may be our only opportunity to ever tell one. We knew we had 2 issues, so we packed in everything we could to those 2 issues that we liked about Captain Marvel. So we got, you know, plenty of Billy Batson. We got Mary and Freddie and, you know, all the supporting cast from the Golden Age years and every villain we could think of. Meanwhile, also having to cram Victorian Batman in there somewhere. So
just get in there. Don't just get in there. Yeah, it fits in.
Right. Yeah. So it was the same thing. And I feel the same way about that. If I never get to do another, he's one of my favorite characters, absolutely. But if I never get to do another Shazam thing, then I'm okay with it.
And I like didn't you do the cover of Shazam kind of floating in the sky?
It's there's one with him and Mary and Freddie kind of flying away a little bit into the clouds, and then the other one was with them in front of the Victorian Batman.
Yeah, and Victorian Batman, you also got to design a few of the villains in these kind of Victorian clothes, right? Mr. Freeze with the kind of like the deep boys fish tank on his head, which is just perfect. And then Penguin, he already looks so Victorian, so you just gave him like sideburns.
Exactly. That was I remember joking to Jeff, like, there was a few of those characters I was like, there's not going to be anything different about them. It's Penguin, like you said, Penguin, I gave him sideburns.
And he literally has a monocle. Like, how more Victorian can you get?
Yeah.
Why does he have a monocle? And like so you're like, you know, just pop in sideburns, completely new character. This does look like Penguin, but he has sideburns, can't be him, you know. So so we thought Clark Kent could hide well with the glasses. You know, Penguin, just give him 2 weeks and he's absolutely sorted.
Yeah, who's that? Batman? Who knows?
And so you got to draw Shazam, and whenever I think of Shazam, I think of your art because it looks so Shazam-y. You see my beautiful grammar coming in through here. As you get, so I probably shouldn't have read comics instead of doing school, as I'm only realizing now. But have any of my classmates read Strange Adventures? So I think I have that over them. Nah. So, you know, that's a very important life skill. Whenever I'm in a job interview, they're like, have you read Strange Adventures? I'm like, yeah, I have. I just plop it on the table there. So as you can see, I'm
So
headed.
weird that they're asking that now, but
Mm.
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the 21st century, you know, things are changing. So yeah, getting to work in Shazam, that must have been so much fun. But your art is brilliant for Shazam. But you also got to work on Doom Patrol, Weight of the
Hmm.
Worlds. And I think this is a question I want to ask. You know Robot Man? Of course you know Robot Man, you drew him. But he has kind of like a trench coat in that issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, so did you get to design the characters and give them the trench coat? Or in the script, did it just say, here, give me a trench coat?
It was a little back and forth. I know that um, Gerard and Jeremy had definitely had some thoughts about what they wanted, kind of as far as the overall aesthetic and how they kind of wanted it to feel. They didn't give me specific notes. I think the most specific they got was the new look for Negative Man, who was from there on going to be known as Positive Man. Um, so they had very specific ideas on what they wanted him to look like because I was drawing the first appearance of his rebirth as the Positive Man. Um, Everything else, it was very, I knew they asked me on because they wanted to do a very noir kind of
Yeah.
old 20s detective kind of story with Robot Man as the main character, which was great because Robot Man's my favorite of the Doom Patrol, and he's one of my favorite characters. So I loved the Gerard and Nick Darrington's original run on Doom
Yeah.
Patrol. Huge fan. That was an absolute blast working on that book.
Now, you said that Robot Man is your favorite character, and I nodded my head because how could Robot Man be your favorite when there's a character called Fug?
He's pretty great. He's a lot of fun too. He was, I think, maybe out of that whole cast, he was the toughest one to
Really?
get my brain around. Yeah, because he's got the way
Monkey
Nick
eyes.
designed him. He's got a very cartoony look to him, and the shapes of him are just they're much trickier than they look. He's one of those deceptively simple characters that once you actually try to rough it out, it is not easy.
Man, I love Fug. Fug's just that's not me swearing, okay? Please. I don't make money off this video anyway. What am I saying? You know, drop an F-bomb. These actually Nanny, if you're watching, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. He made me do it. Yeah, okay. Now that we have that out of the way. Yeah, no, but Fug, did you get to design Fug?
Oh no, that was long before with Nick. Because I think he showed up in the original run with Gerard and Nick, but no, and Fug was one of the few characters who looked exactly the same within this noir imaginary detective world. So I didn't have to do anything to Fug.
Yeah, well, why would you? He's a masterpiece.
He's
You know,
perfect. Yeah.
perfect. Like literally, there's nothing we could do to change him. You know, it'd be overkill.
Yeah.
So Doom Patrol. But was it hard for you to draw? Like, there's probably about 7 members on that team, and you obviously have to fit a lot of them in the issue. So did you ever draw a panel, and then there's like, okay, there's not enough space for Robot Man, or anything like that?
It was nearly because it was one of those things where it starts with Robot Man, and then as the story goes, they kind of add one or two characters at a time. So by the end of that issue, it was definitely like, okay, I gotta another panel. Let's go. But I think we haven't mentioned it yet, but I think after Future Quest,
Yeah,
any team book is a breath of fresh air because that book was so huge
yeah.
and had such a big cast of characters that a cast of like 8 or 9, I was like, all right, fine, we'll go with it. I'll make it work.
Yeah, and like, of course, but obviously the most important thing, I'm sure it said this on the script, was to fit Fug in. Like, you should have put him on the cover, you know. I'm actually this. Now that we bring it up, can I pitch you my 800-page comic about Fug? His
Let's
dialogue is
go.
on point. Okay, so opening
Oh yeah.
exterior, nighttime. Fug stands in a room. Guess what he says? You're not gonna believe it.
Don't leave me hanging here. What?
Yeah, now you have to subscribe to my Patreon now, man. That's how they get you, you know?
Nuts. All right.
Come on, it's a family friendly channel. Come on, keep it clean.
Sorry.
You can't say no. Anyway, like I was saying, Fug, brilliant character, you know.
Sorry.
But of course, for those who don't know, he only speaks in Fug, which is his language. Oh, you know, some genius writing coming from DC. That's genuinely one of my favorite Doom Patrol characters. But of course, you didn't only get to draw that version of Doom Patrol. You also got to draw them in their old kind of Silver Agey original costumes
uh
for the Silver Age.
Oh, for the yeah, the right, the omnibus covers. Yep. I'm not kidding. I draw these things and turn them in. They're gone. Until until they send me some copies in the mail. I've had a few times where I open it and I go, I don't remember doing this.
That's not mine. You just close the book.
They sit in a stack over here by the door. So yeah, I did. That was actually that. When I was doing those covers, it was kind of I'd agreed to do so many per year, and the editor would just kind of say, okay, this month we're doing these 2 or 3 different characters, and Doom Patrol was by far the one I was most excited about because I love that original Silver Age run, and I didn't think we would get around to Doom Patrol.
Wow.
I thought I was going to be doing Golden Age Batman for the rest of my life. And so when they came around and said, hey, we're starting with Silver Age Doom Patrol, I was like, right on, because that's way up my alley.
Did the editor just break into the window while you were sleeping? Listen, we're doing Doom Patrol now, and he just throws the script at you, and he just grapples back up.
Yeah.
He leaves a little hole in the roof.
Yeah. Right.
And then the assistant editor jumps through the wall like the Kool-Aid man. Oh, the editor already got here, and he just walks out. I'm sure that's how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's expensive.
It was odd when they make them give you your address on the sign-up form. Oh, but I suppose that's life.
Hey, that's comics, baby.
I'll have to ask a little quote for the start of the video. When the editors break into your house, that's comics, baby. Quote Doc Shane.
Little word balloon right here.
Yeah.
Comics, baby.
We'll have that on your tombstone in a couple of years. It just has comics, baby. Died by editor breaking into house or something like that. Right. Yeah. So are you more partial to the kind of older costumes, or because you've obviously gotten to draw a lot of them? So did you just start crying? You're like, I have to draw another original costume, or was it anything like that?
You know, some of that's fun. I think the thing is, I like a lot of stuff from all across the 80 or 90 years that we've got superhero comics for, and I think early on, because of the way I drew and a lot of the assignments I was getting from DC, there was a notion that all my tastes lay in the gold and silver age stuff. But truth be told, and I know this is the million years before your time, but I'm a straight up 90s kid all the way. So 90s? Yeah, the 90s. It was this time like 30 years ago. Yeah. And Superman had like really super long hair after he died.
No, Superman can't die. What are you talking about? You hear that, Dan Jurgens? Dan Jurgens. Superman can't die.
There were 4 other Supermen, and they were all cool. And Batman was super sharp and pointy all the time. Yeah. It was awesome.
I take your medicine and go back to bed now. Come on. No.
Thank you.
And that wraps up our interview with Doc Shane. No, listen. So did you all have like pet dinosaurs back then, little pterodactyls, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. See what you've missed out on?
That's the one thing I regret. And also the creation of fire. I wish I could have been there.
I'm sorry that we all decided in 2005 to kill all the dinosaurs and said kids cannot have these.
You know I'm sensitive about that. Come on, stop. I put that on.
They were actually taken away from us 90 kids because of how we treated them, so it's probably for the best.
I loved them in Jurassic Park. I didn't know they could be actors. That was amazing. I'm pretty sure one of them won an Oscar for that or something. I don't know what the Oscars are. You might have. So enough talking about pet dinosaurs. But you also got to do Future Quest, right?
Yep.
With Space Ghost, which is another dinosaur period cartoon. Tear falls.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry, Doc. I didn't mean it.
Well, that's actually, I mean, to your point, that was, I think, once Future Quest wrapped, Jeff and I talked for a while about it, about how I think that was right around the time where we were both, we kind of had our fill of drawing and working on old stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of a lot of that 60s aesthetic, but drawing Future Quest completely absorbed any other desire I had to do that kind of stuff. So once Future Quest was over, I started, I mean, except for the omnibus covers, because that was a good job, I started kind of saying no to anything with that sort of vibe to it.
Yeah.
Just because I was tired of drawing old stuff that for example, that no kids were familiar with. You know, I've got 2 kids of my own, and they pick up some of this stuff from me having it around at home, but otherwise, they, you know, they would talk to their friends about what I was doing, and their friends were like, "Are you speaking a different language?" Because none of that makes sense to us, except for, you know, if I could say working on Superman or Batman, that's because they know that stuff. But Space Ghost and Johnny Quest and anything from that book was a complete mystery to them.
Your son's friends come over, you're like, okay, here's what I did. You see this character? You just pull out a whiteboard, play a presentation and all. Your friend's like, can we eat? And you're like, you'll eat when you're finished. And then you just continue right there.
Well, but like, I went and talked to my dog and showed them, you know, a little bit of how I do what I do. And I know that it was because of the movies that were out at the time, but these kids were asking for Aquaman and Wonder Woman and Shazam. And I looked at these kids and I said, how do you know what Shazam is? And they said, because we like movies.
And you just go,
and I said,
pick them up. How do you know Shazam?
Yeah.
Christian Bale Batman voice. How do you know Shazam?
And they're like, what's Christian Bale? And it was, I mean, like I said, I knew it was because there were popular movies at the time featuring those characters, but it was still shocking to me to hear those kids begging for Shazam.
Yeah.
That I never thought I'd see that.
That's crazy. And like, there's so many comic properties that have been turned into films, and like, they're so obscure characters. Like Pierce Brosnan is playing Dr. Fate, which is like,
yeah, what is that about?
And then there's going to be kids asking you for Dr. Fate jobs, and you're just sitting there like,
there. In a few years, there's going to be a time where Black Adam is the biggest character in the world, and that is insane.
I know. It's just so weird. And it's like all these obscure, like Flash hasn't even gotten a film yet, and we've had so many other films, and it's crazy. But like, so that's the business, baby. I tied it all back together. Yeah. And now I'm just gonna end the channel now because I can't get any higher than this. This is my moment finished.
Sorry.
I think you're frozen a little bit here. I know, everyone. I think we lost Doc. Are you back? Oh, you were frozen a little bit there. So you see, it's that I think we said Pierce Brosnan a little too loud. That's on us. We have to do better. But do you have a favorite superhero film, or from any of the different TV shows?
I did. Speaking of Doom Patrol, I loved the Doom Patrol show.
Yeah.
I didn't. That was completely unexpected, and I really loved that. Trying to think what. It's hard to remember all the stuff.
Now, tell me your top 10 all in order and who directed them, and tell me who's the favorite.
No, you know, there's so much stuff right now. I know I'm not nearly caught up on everything.
But if you have 4 hours to spare, you know, there's the Snyder Cut.
I watched that. I did end up watching that. again, I didn't think I was going to watch it, and then I folded immediately. The second it was available, I was like, yeah, I guess I'll kill 4 hours.
I'm gonna stand to my guns. I'm not gonna watch it. Is that Jason Momoa? Okay, yeah, buy this.
Right. Well, yeah, there you go. And I'm glad I watched it. But I don't know. I liked the first Wonder Woman movie a lot. And I'm sure I liked a lot of whatever Thor's in. I enjoy the Thor stuff in the Marvel movies.
DC, he doesn't mean that. He's only joking.
They don't care. There's going to come a point where Warner Brothers is bothered with, who's Doc Shaner again? Does he work for us? They don't care.
Well, I'm sure that's it. I'm almost certain we're gonna get a Detective Chimp film soon. It's gonna be 18s, right? And it's gonna be like a David Fincher noir film, and Werner Herzog is gonna voice Detective Chimp, and it's gonna be like all these voiceovers, and it's like you're not even gonna bring up the fact that he's a monkey. It's just gonna be him walk, and like he's solving these crimes, and yeah, I already have all 900 pages done. I have a belter here.
Beautiful. Yeah, it'll be beautiful.
It's also I'm thinking a few Oscar nominations,
Yeah. Heck, Werner Herzog was in a Star Wars thing. Anything's possible now.
Yeah. So Detective Chimp, that's just natural. Like obviously that comes next.
Just a skip and a jump over to Detective Chimp.
Yeah. So Detective Chimp. Yeah, I don't even know how we went to talk about Detective Chimp. So yeah, we were talking about Future Quest, and then we went to Detective Chimp. We went to Future Quest, to Werner Herzog, to Detective Chimp. Now we have to tie it all back together. That's comics, baby. Let's see, that's
all right.
I got them twice. God, I'm so good at this. But you also got to draw a dog called Space Bandit, right? Come on.
Wait, what?
There was a dog, Space Bandit.
Oh yeah, there's Bandit from Johnny Quest.
Yeah. Is he not Space Bandit? I mean, he is.
No, just Bandit.
Oh God. All these so old.
Space Ghost has a monkey, not Detective Chimp.
Oh, why would you lead with that? Sorry. Why? So you got to draw the monkey as well.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of animals in that book.
Damn.
That was another thing. It was like on top of these 30-odd people you're gonna have to draw. There's at least 5 or 6 animals because everybody has one.
Everyone just has an animal.
Every team has the little animal sidekick who is either completely unhelpful and gets them in half of their problems, or is the most useful character in these books.
We can't open this door. What should we do, Space Cow?
Get the monkey.
Oh yeah, I thought they all have different teams. But yeah, so you got like a lot of artists say the thing that they hate drawing the most is animals, mainly horses. So if I said to you, what's the worst thing for you to see on a script that just makes you cry?
It's not, at least not anymore. It's not my least favorite thing to draw, but there was a stretch where every new script I got, and it wasn't like it was one writer doing this to me. It was during the stretch where I was working with a new writer on every gig I had, and without it, every writer was writing something where a giant robot would show up and then explode. What? Without fail, there was a long stretch there where I was constantly drawing giant robots that exploded. And I got to a point where I was like, I can't do it anymore. I need somebody. Like, I will agree to a new gig if they can put it in writing. I will not have to draw a giant robot exploding. And issue 1 of Strange Adventures, I got the script.
Oh.
Reading through, and 5 pages in, giant robot explodes.
Oh my God.
And I wrote Mitch and I said, did you see what Tom wrote in this garbage? Oh.
Oh God. And that was the last time you ever worked with Tom King.
And I quit the book.
Oh yeah. Okay. Wait. What? Out of nowhere? You just quit? I mean, it doesn't take much to break you. Mate, this is all just by DC. They're like, what if we just do it slowly and we just put a robot in every book?
We'll drive him mad.
That gives me an idea. What if there's a robot in my Detective Chimp script?
Don't do it. Don't you do it.
You're like one of the, like, you're like in the film, you're that mysterious figure. Like, I've seen this before. I've seen what happens when you put a robot in the script. I'm surprised how common that is.
Yeah. Hey, this movie has one guy that nobody knows just pointing at the robot and saying, "Not this." No.
You just push the robot back. No. But did a lot of detail did a lot of detail go into those robots?
Yeah, too much. Way too much. That's when I told Mitch about this growing concern I had that everybody just wanted me to blow up robots. And that's when I realized, like, I was putting way too much work into what these robots look like. Just to blow them up a page later.
Just silhouette. That's comics. You could have just done that.
Comics.
Yeah. You could have just made it completely black, and then it's like, but the sun's out. Don't ask questions. There's a big rock covering it. You know, we'll find out. This is a mystery comic, right? We'll find out in the next issue or something why there's a big silhouette. God.
Yeah.
They're not in. But you brought this up, Strange Adventures. This is your new comic, newest enough actually. So what can you tell us about that? Spoil the whole book.
Spoil the whole book. Oh man, when Detective Chimp shows up in the last issue, it's gonna blow everybody's mind.
Yeah,
he figures it out. I know the whole story has been leading up to Mr. Terrific solving the mystery of it, but Detective Chimp shows up and goes, "I have an answer."
Well, he is a Detective Chimp. You see, Tom King, I see you. I see you.
Yeah, it's not Detective Terrific.
Why would I care about him?
Chimp.
Yeah. It's not as if the book's about him or anything like that, but why does that benefit me, you know? Is he a little chimpanzee that solves crimes? Yeah, so argument invalid. Boom. Yeah, what is the point? But you're not the only artist on that book. You also work with Mitch Gerards.
Now, it's Mitch Gerards, and the only reason I'm telling you this is because I'm so sick and tired of hearing him complain about it.
Does he actually? Oh
he does get it a lot.
Mitch, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry, Mitch Gerards. You're like one of my favorites. Like, you're the best Gerards in the business. I truly believe that. You're not going to believe what this kid is saying about you.
Mitch, this kid thinks your last name is Gerards.
He just pops in through your window. He said what?
Huh?
I think if we like say his name 3 times, like Beetlejuice, he appears. Let's not test it. Let's not test it.
I would rather not. Well,
do you hear that knock on my door? How?
This is over.
Yeah, we better be scared. That was a weird running joke. But so yeah, how did that come about? Did Tom say to you, do you want to also do this comic with Mitch, or?
It was Mitch that brought it to me, actually. As they were wrapping up Mr. Miracle, Tom and Mitch were trying to figure out what they were going to do next. They knew that they wanted to do another 12-issue kind of specials feeling, sort of limited thing, focusing on one character and maybe somebody lower down the rung, kind of like Mr. Miracle, because I think that gave them more room to expand on the character than your Batmans or Superman. And at some point, they decided on Adam Strange, and Tom had this cool idea of kind of splitting the story into 2 parts and dealing with the notion of stories we tell ourselves and how we present ourselves. So he knew early on that he wanted to kind of divide the story into the past that Adam is telling and his present as he's going through it. And my understanding of it is that they immediately said that I should be drawing the past part. And Mitch got in touch with me, pitched it to me. I think I was working on Supergirl maybe at the time. I knew I still had Doom Patrol to do at that point. But yeah, and it was just pitched to me as Mitch and I splitting the book and having fun with the way we tell the story. So
were you aware?
It was kind of a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, were you aware of Adam Strange before doing that book at all?
Yes, and I don't hate any comic book characters like that. There's just no point to it. but I definitely have ones that I just don't care about. And Adam Strange was at the top of that list. And I knew it. The second Mitch pitched it to me without telling me what the character was, and he's saying it's going to be this cool book where we share art duties and then we'll tell the story. And I said, come on, who's the character? I know who it's going to be. And he's told me it was Adam Strange. And I was like, all right.
God damn, if there's no exploding robots, I'll do it. You say as you take the drink. I'm so tired of this. It's just so how did you split that up? Did you draw everything on space or was it on Earth or?
I think the way we were originally telling people about it was that I drew everything that happened out in space and Mitch drew everything that happened on Earth.
Yeah.
And then by the fourth issue, we realized that that wasn't even true for ourselves, because I had an issue where Adam got zapped back to Earth and was begging the other Earth heroes to help him out in space, and Mitch took Mr. Terrific to Ran. So we realized the easier way to divide it was I draw everything that happens before Mitch's first panel.
Yeah.
And then obviously Mitch draws everything after. So my story starts long before Mitch's does, and it's kind of like finding its way to Mitch's story.
And did that create like a new type of challenge? Because it's like on all the comics you get, you're doing it all, but now you have to coordinate with Mitch, like what you're doing and what he's doing and anything like that.
We've had early on when we were first putting the book together, we had a lot of that where we're trying to decide on what Adam's going to look like exactly, and Alana, and the bits of the main cast that we do share. Because for instance, like I don't draw Mr. Terrific in this book, so that is all up to Mitch. What Mr. Terrific does and how he's handled. But the main cast that we share, we kind of talked about like what ways are they going to be similar between so yeah, early on there was a lot of coordinating, but since we've been, we're a year and a half into this, I think, it's been less and less, where for the time being, I'm kind of off doing my own thing and Mitch is off doing his own thing. And Mitch is the one who stitches everything together in production.
Yeah.
And we've been surprised how often we don't have to say anything to each other. Things just kind of congeal.
And did you get to choose the costume, or like did you get to read? Because it's the original design, isn't it?
It's based on the original design. Kind of like Tom is always quick to say that as far as continuity, we're really taking from the original Silver Age run of Adam Strange. Yeah. We're not necessarily bringing a lot of the stuff.
Is this evil robot?
Who is that?
It's like when vampires, you do that to vampires. We just show this to Doc. He'll turn back into his true form if we're careful enough. So yeah, you got to draw that robot. So I can only imagine how much fun that is. So for any editors, anything watching this, you were just telling me you love drawing robots. Your favorite thing. Yeah.
The next project is just a bunch of big robots exploding.
Is that the title? God, it comes clean off the tongue. Big robots exploding in a original story by Doc Shaner.
Yep.
See, we're getting all the exclusives on this channel. Oh yeah, so not only did you do different pages, but did you ever do panels on the same page?
Yeah, yep. God. We've got a few of those and that's why we worked out the structure early on of most pages are 3 panels, 3 wide panels. So that we can easily take parts in and out as need be. So the script will say panel 1, Mitch, panel 2, Doc, panel 3, Mitch. So we can just however we need to.
And you both have very different styles. So for the comic, did you try and, I don't know if it makes sense to make your art as similar as possible just so it seemed in place, or?
I don't think there's been any conscious effort on either of us to go toward the other. I know there's parts where I will lean into it a little bit, just to suggest that the stories are more similar than they might appear. But no, I don't think either of us has had any kind of conscious decision to kind of ape the other.
And you got to color your own work on this, right?
Yeah, yep.
Wow. And like, did you ask for that? Did you say, could I color, or did they say, do you want to?
It's something I've been pushing for a while, because I color all my covers, and I just realized that, and it was actually during Doom Patrol that I realized that the way I was drawing was such a way that I was trying to work toward the colorist. And I've worked with tons of super talented colorists. This is not at all bagging on any of them. But I realized that the longer I went working for DC and only doing the line work, I was drawing in such a way that didn't actually feel right for me, but I was trying to prepare things for the colorist that I would never draw when I colored myself. So for the last year or two, I'd been pushing for finding some kind of project where I could color myself, because I knew it would make the drawing easier.
Yeah. And are you a traditional artist or digital?
Digital now.
Yeah.
I started out traditional. Around the end of Future Quest is when I started going digital.
Oh, and did you, when it came to like, what did you do in order? Did you do one page, then color it onto the next page, or did you just do all the pages black and white and then color it?
So far on Strange, I've been drawing all the pages and then coloring them and going back and coloring them. It just seems right now, at least, to be more streamlined.
And does Mitch color his own work?
Yes. Yep.
Mitch Gerard.
Mitch.
Did I get it right there? Did I get it right there?
No.
Oh, goddamn! I knew this would be my downfall. Give me a few hours. I'll go through a different. I'll go through a few pronunciations. Is it German or something? How am I going to get this? I'll just give.
I actually don't know. I have no idea what it is.
I'll just call him Mitch King, and good enough. Good
Sure.
enough. Good enough.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen? You know, it must.
Nope.
Be. Oh, I thought I really had it there. I thought
It's okay. But no, Mitch Giggles has been coloring his own stuff forever, I think.
Yeah.
I gave it to somebody else initially, he was the one who told me, he's like, you're gonna want to get that back someday.
Sorry, you cut out. Get what back?
Oh no, that's okay. Years ago, when I initially kind of gave away the colors to somebody else and tried to just do lines, Mitch was the one who told me, like, you're gonna want to get that back someday. You're gonna wish you were still coloring yourself. And he was right, as much as I hate to say it. But it's been nice that this was the first project where I was, had the space to color myself again.
And did that present a certain challenge?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, it's definitely been, again, a learning curve, because work is so much different than covers.
Yeah.
Because there's that storytelling aspect, and I think it's easy to forget that there's a lot of storytelling in the color too. But yeah, and it's definitely been a learning process where I'm learning how much time to really devote to coloring a page, and how you can definitely spend too much time with a page.
And maybe this happened for Adam Strange or any other characters, but have you ever just taken on a character and thought, okay, yeah, well, I'll do this and I'll see what happens, and then over time you start to like them more?
I will say, like, that was, again, part of the reason I took this one was because up until now, I'd worked on characters that I actually really liked before. And I thought it would be interesting to work on a character that I had no affinity for.
Yeah.
I just did not care about Adam Strange before this. And it's definitely been interesting learning about his early stuff and kind of deep diving into that and seeing what I can pull out for myself that rings true to me. I don't know if I'd say I like him more now,
You still hate him
but
just as much as you did before, you know?
I think I get him a little more now.
Yeah.
I understand why people like him and what appeals to me about him.
Yeah, so what is your favorite thing about Adam Strange?
I
His helmet,
like
obviously. His little fin.
what?
His little fin,
Yeah, this
obviously. That's
stupid
such a
stupid
silly
helmet
question
thing.
on my behalf. Obviously, it's the fin. Or the robot that
I think
explodes. I'm not sure if you mentioned, but in issue 1, there's
yeah,
a robot that explodes. It's
yeah,
so
it's all
cool.
just exploding robots.
Damn, is that what issue 9 is about? I thought Tom King posted on Twitter that it's all just about exploding robots. You know, at least it's original. Yeah. And I know you love it.
He's mad with me for some reason.
Yeah. I wonder
I
what
don't
that
know.
could be about. You know? It's because you didn't make the fin long enough. God. It's every
Well, yeah,
it's you would be surprised how common that is.
I believe it.
Yeah. So is your favorite thing about Adam Strange the fin?
No,
Oh
that was
God.
actually when Mitch brought it to me. I said like I hate that original costume, and I said like we'll be able to do something with that, right? Like yeah, and I remember asking him like, okay, so what are we gonna do with that costume? And he just said we're gonna do it straight as is. And I said no, and I think he was more than kind enough to let me kind of fiddle with it a little bit. But even then, I decided early on in the series that I was going to treat this like a toy line, where every issue he's got a different costume,
Yeah.
and whether that's as small as he's wearing like a coat over the original costume, or it's as different as he's got a scuba suit and a snow
Of
suit,
course.
and so I've got a model folder that has at least 14, 15 different Adam Strange costumes. Because since the first issue, I have not drawn him in that original suit.
Wow.
And they were cool with it, which is insane. I think Tom had the notion that he would be wearing the same thing throughout my side of it. And I quickly put the kibosh on that.
You just didn't even tell him. See if he'll notice. If I put him in a scuba suit, do you think he'll notice?
That's the best part about this book so far has been Mitch and I basically do whatever we want, and nobody says anything.
Oh wow, it's every artist's dream. So
Yeah.
imagine it was you who put in the robot fight. It's an M. Night Shyamalan twist. It was you who put in the
Ah,
robot. Ah,
I'm Tom King.
you rip off the mask. And I'm Mitch Gerards. And I just pull off the mask. I'm getting better with the name, as I'm sure you can see there.
See, now the three of us, me without glasses is Tom King, and me without glasses is in the hat is Mitch Gerards.
Oh,
That's
me with a beard and some bourbon, and that's Mitch Gerards. That's
basically, yeah. It's simple math.
We can all be Mitch Gerards and Doc Shaner and Tom King. It's that easy. I found a secret. You see, this is all just a room.
We're that boring and simple that anyone can do it.
Yeah, I actually have a cap there, so I just throw in the cap. I feel it, and it lightning bolt strikes me, and I turn into adult.
Feel brand new.
But talking about red costumes, like I said, some more of my amazing leeway skills. You also got to work on Flash Gordon.
Yeah.
So did you get to design a costume for him?
That was actually kind of both Jeff and I. That version of Flash Gordon was appearing in a sort of crossover sort of event for Dynamite's King Features stuff that Jeff wrote with another artist, Mark Laming, and it was Flash Gordon and Mandrake the Magician and the Phantom. And Flash had a different costume in that, but we knew that we were going to spin that off into our own Flash Gordon series. And I designed everything from the feet up to about here.
Yeah. Oh.
And I was tossing around. I knew he was going to have a black top with something on it in red, white, or yellow. And
Detective Chimp.
Just yeah. Just literally like the movie Flash. My name is Flash. But I threw around probably 20 different ideas for that top, and Jeff came in at the last minute and said, "How about these two lightning bolts meeting in the center?" I was like, "Why? Why did I even try?"
You just spit all your Flash Gordon. Horrible. But what about the moment when Flash fights the robot? Are you cutting that out as well?
That happens at least 2 or 3 times in that book too.
In the single issue?
I'm sure of it. I'm positive. I haven't read it in a long time, but there must be an issue where Flash just says, "I have to go blow up more robots. I'll be right back." And jumps off.
Flash, save me. Listen, I would, but listen, there's a robot and he's half a galaxy away. Oh, you're like, I'll come to you later if you're still here. If you're just hoping, and he flies away.
Right.
So yeah, were you a Flash? Did you ever watch the Flash Gordon films?
No, I knew in that same way that, like I was saying, everybody knows Superman and Star Wars. Flash Gordon was the same thing where I'd heard of him, and I had the vaguest notion of him being a blonde guy who runs around in space.
Same with Adam Strange. You've been typecast.
Yeah. Huh. But yeah, I had barely any familiarity with him before the editor Nate Cosby brought the notion of doing it with Jeff. That one was purely the chance to work with Jeff and Jordy.
Yeah,
Jordy Belair at the time. So, I read up on Flash Gordon leading up to it and tried to familiarize myself, and that was fun too. But I had no clue who he was.
Yeah, and maybe this is the same for any other comics, like maybe Strange Adventures. But do you ever have to do any research prior to drawing a character?
It depends on the character. Adam Strange was a lot, just because I'd never read anything with him, and I asked DC to send me the omnibus, and I probably had a good week. You'll see all these yellow Post-it notes at the top.
I wonder what that could be for. Perhaps.
Yeah.
Are those the pages with Detective Chimp in them? Yeah. I knew it.
Page 596. Detective Chimp enters. But no, this is all me going through and saying to Tom, like, what if we used this random alien that showed up for a page? And this is probably the most research I've done in a while for a book.
My one criticism for that book is not enough robots. It's just too little.
Yeah, what the hell?
What the hell's the matter with this? Why aren't there enough robots? You just send it back to DC with a little post-it note that says more robots. No, you get a red Sharpie and you etch it out over the cover. More robots.
Not good enough.
And you just fling out your window. That will get to them.
They're like, Doc, this book is 60 years old. We're not changing it.
Do you know who I am? I'm Tom King. You get it done. I'm sure that's what you said.
I'm Tom King.
It all ties together. And if you want, I can be Mitch Durarards as well. So be careful. I'm sure you said that as well. But so did you get to design any characters for Strange Adventures?
Yeah. We have 3 new alien species that we're adding to Ran as a whole, and that one of them Tom put in early on as an alien species we hadn't seen before, that were supposedly on the planet during the Silver Age run, but we're just now seeing. The Picts were the new enemy that Adam's fighting this whole time. Were new, and and then one more that we don't see until issue 11. So I won't say anything just yet.
So it's not Detective Chimp, you say? Well, yeah.
Unfortunately, I know.
Damn. We were so close.
Yeah.
Maybe like you. There's. It's such an easy way to retcon this. Just become Tom King and rewrite the script. It's 21st century thinking.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Tom hands us a script. What he gets back is up to us. That's our game.
Yeah, DC said we can't put Detective Chimp in this. I didn't ask. Come on.
I beg to differ.
Uh, so yeah, there's issue 9 actually comes out this Tuesday, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, so everyone make sure to go pick that up. So not only did you work on Strange Adventures, you've only done another million comics, but you also got to work on the Terrifics. So what was that like?
Yeah, that was great. It was a weird time because my family and I were moving across the country at the time, and I think it was this weird time where a lot of things were shifting in DC, and they really wanted those books out right away. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to launch the book like we'd originally planned. But early on, Jeff Lemire came to me with this great pitch for a pseudo Fantastic Four built out of DC characters, and I came up with a lot of the initial designs for their team costumes and how because a lot of Metamorphose supporting cast shows up in that book, and I had a lot of thoughts on how they would be approached. But yeah, unfortunately, scheduling and my big move across the country, I was only able to do 2 issues in the book itself. But I did some covers and I got to do a lot of those designs and co-create the new Phantom Girl with Jeff. So I would have loved to have done more with that book because I love Plastic Man. He's one of my favorite characters
Brilliant.
of all time, and Metamorpho is a big deal to me too. But that's sometimes that's comics, baby.
Yeah, we all tied together.
Yay!
We did it. But yeah, no. So you got to draw Plastic Man, and I can imagine like that's an artist's dream because you don't have to get proportions right. If an arm is too long, you can be like, he has stretchy powers. So check yourself or you wreck yourself. So I'm sure you said that word
Right.
for word.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said to them.
You just said it to the editors. Check yourself before you wreck yourself, word for word.
And they're like, we won't pay you.
I'm sorry, I take it back. I didn't mean.
I'm so sorry.
I'll do whatever you want with Plastic Man.
Yeah.
So did you get to draw some of that great Plastic Man stretchiness?
Yeah, that's another one kind of like Shazam where I knew the opportunity to draw Plastic Man and Metamorpho for that matter does not come up very often. Those are not widely circulated characters. So I tried to do as much as I could with them in the short time I had with them. I'd still love another chance with both of them in more of a solo context. But again, if I don't get to, I don't get to.
That is comics, baby.
Yeah, we need the sad version. That is
comics, baby.
That is comics, baby.
You have to do a little sniffle and then wipe away a tear there. But you actually didn't you do a rock paper scissors skit with Plastic Man? And
that was scissors. Yeah, that was Jeff. Jeff in the script said he wanted Plas and Metamorpho to have a rock paper scissors match for, I can't even remember why they did it, but I told him early on, okay, but Metamorpho is going to get the adult scissors and Plastic Man gets the kids safe scissors.
As he would.
As he should. That's those little things were the most fun about that book. Plas and Metamorpho's relationship specifically was a real blast to draw.
And didn't you get to draw Element Dog?
Yeah, that was the other thing. I knew Jeff had been planning to introduce a new element dog, and I was all about it because I love that idea. Um,
You
and
seem to
so
draw a lot of dogs. Bandit, element
it's
dog.
I'm told, and I got to do part of the main draw of taking on that one Supergirl issues was knowing I get to draw Crypto. And I'm told, again, I don't know how true this is, but some of the editors have told me that my models of all the dogs, of all the DC dogs, are hanging up around the office.
High praise.
That's, yeah, I'll take it. If I get known as the super dogs guy, I'll go with it.
I mean, like the worst thing you could possibly be known for is robot fights. So count your lucky stars. Could you
Yeah,
imagine? Hell
I'll
on earth. Hell
I'll
on earth.
I'll take I'll take super dogs over that.
So who
Sure.
wins in a fight, bandit or element dog?
I
Bare
mean,
knuckle boxing
it's
match?
when I was when I was talking about that are mostly useless, but we keep them around because we have some kind of nostalgia for them. Bandit is the prime example because that dog is always getting kidnapped by vultures and just getting in the way. As much as I love Bandit, but he is the epitome of why do we still have Bandit?
But
Why
look
do
him
we
in,
bring him with us?
but look him in the eyes and tell him you don't want him here. It's impossible.
Oh, no way. No,
and
he's a
and
sweetheart.
yeah, so Bandit, he was a dog previously established, but Element Dog, did you get to choose what type of dog it was?
Yes, I did. I think the idea of a metamorphosed dog had shown up before in the original run, and I think Neil Gaiman and Mike Allred did something with them in
Oh, yeah.
Wednesday Comics too. But I knew that this was supposed to be a new take on the dog, that he was just supposed to be a random dog that gets hit by this ray or whatever. Um, and I pushed early on for uh,
You push for what? You just cut up?
um, no, it's okay. I pushed early on for it to be a pit bull
Ah,
because my kid brother had a few pit bulls, and I knew that at least over here in the States, pit bulls do not have a good rap
yeah.
as a domestic animal, and I just, it seemed like from the shape of them and the temperament, like that would be a good compliment to Metamorpho.
Yeah.
At least our take on him, because he was definitely a bigger kind of. He was meant obviously to be more thing like in our
Chunky boy.
book. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was a thick fella, and
Chunky.
uh, so it just seemed like pit bulls with they got those massive shoulders and they look like tiny weightlifters. It just seemed it just seemed right. So that again, I only got to hop in for 2 issues of actually drawing the book, but if I got to jump in and make a new element dog and draw some Plastic Man and Phantom Girl, it's all good.
I know an animal who should be the next element animal. Detective Chimp. Hey, oh, didn't see it coming.
Hey,
I got him. Hey. All ties together. That's comics, baby. But of course, another comic you worked on, we have to talk about this one because I have editors as well, as I'm sure you can see. Big Cheese is my friend Luke. He owns my channel. I'm pretty scared of him. So Luke, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. But of course, you got to work on Supergirl as well. So you got to work on Superman and Supergirl. But how did Supergirl come about?
Supergirl, I think because I was involved in Man of Steel with Bendis. I think the notion had been that the 6 of us who drew Bendis's initial Man of Steel book would all kind of find our way into the various Supergirls
Yeah.
eventually. And so Kevin McGuire restarted the Supergirl book with Mark Andreyko, and Kevin had a fill-in coming up where he's going to take an issue off to get ahead on the next arc. So the editor, who I knew Steel, Jess Chen, had asked me to come in and do this fill-in for Supergirl.
Wow. And like, was it fun for you to get to draw her?
Yeah, it was the best. I love getting to be involved in the super books at any level.
Who's a character you
And
never get sick of drawing?
who is, or
Who? Yeah.
I mean, it's Superman. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he's not that iconic, but I suppose okay, if only there was something about Superman that was so recognizable, a big S or something, logo, we could get a B on his check. Give him long ears. We got it. Yes,
We need to fix this character now.
yes, just give him long ears. Boom, perfect. But not only are you a comic book artist, you're also a cover artist. You do covers for comics.
Yep.
Yeah, and so
Yep.
like, how did that come about? Like, did you ask, could I do some covers, or did they say, here, do you want to do some covers as well?
I'm not sure because that first Superman book I did for DC, I got to do the cover too. I don't know what the first cover after that would have been. No, I can't think of it. Because in between, before I signed exclusive with DC, I would kind of hop back and forth between DC and Marvel here and there. See, I'm not sure. I really don't know. I think at some point they asked me for some variant covers for smaller books.
Yeah, and that always like fascinates me how they come about. Did they say to you, right, for this cover we want Detective Chimp doing a backflip or something like that? Or did they just say, you see, I'll be a great guy, or do they say just do what you want with this one? Or how does that work?
It depends on the editor and what book it is, certainly.
Did you ever get like free
Um,
reign? They just say do what you want for this?
yeah, I've had plenty where it's, you come up with something, and
Detective
so
Chimp
long
doing a
as
backflip? Obviously.
right, so long as it gets approved, they're cool with whatever I come up with.
Yeah, and like,
Um,
do you have a favorite cover that you've done?
oh,
I love your Flash because I love the lines
oh, thank you.
that you draw behind Flash, like to make him actually. And I love the one you did where I think he's beating up Gorilla Grodd and waving at a child.
Oh yeah, he's running across
I
the building,
adore
and
that one. That's such a good cover. I remember looking at that
oh,
and
thank
thinking,
you.
that's Flash. Yeah, I hate to give you a compliment because it makes me cold and angry. But I figure, Jews where Jews are due, So I figure I
Sure.
might say you did a good job.
Well, thank you.
I'm a huge fan of your work, Mr. King. Anyway, so on to the next question. But you got to do a Green Arrow cover for issue 50, and I think that was the final issue.
Yeah, they didn't tell me that when I did it.
Ooh.
Um, I didn't know. I'm a big Green Arrow fan, and I think they knew that and asked me to do that variant cover for 50. I had no clue. And I'm kind of glad they didn't tell me because I don't know what I would have done.
You would have just started freaking out. Oh my God, what am I going to do for this one?
I probably would have in my own head and gone a little overboard on it. But in retrospect, I'm glad I went the way I did with it. It was just super simple and kind of designy. And I got to draw Green Arrow and Black Canary, who are two of my favorite characters. So
And didn't you give him his little beautiful goatee?
yeah,
Oh,
that was
brilliant.
the best part of all the Rebirth stuff was getting to draw Ollie with a beard again.
Yeah,
So
I heard whenever he shaves, a million people cry. That's just the way it is. Yeah. He
yeah.
just kind of clip it. Okay, phew, we're okay there. And yeah, but or, didn't you do a Young Justice cover that broke the internet one day?
Did it? I
Yeah,
have
it
no
was.
idea.
I remember you. Yeah, you did a Young Justice cover, and it was like blowing up on Twitter.
I
And
did
like the
I did
replies,
two, I think. I
yeah,
did
and the
one
replies were crazy.
Wonder Girl, and then one with the whole team.
Wow. And like I remember I seen that blow up on Twitter one day. I'm like, what's this about? Who's this Shane or fella? He's the one who writes Miracle. Oh, he's the one who writes Words. Yes, I know him.
Yeah, he does those super gritty army books. That's it.
Oh yeah, I know him. I know him. He's a great artist. But yeah, you also got to do covers on like Batman Beyond and Dial H for Hero among so many different covers. But
Mhm.
you ever forget the comics that you work on and look back like I don't remember doing that?
Absolutely, all the time. There's that stretch between Future Quest and Terrifics going to Doom Patrol. there's that whole timeline is very murky to me.
Yeah.
I know I worked, but I'm not exactly sure on what exactly I did.
So do you not
And like I
remember
said,
that Detective Chimp
stuff
cover?
will come in. I remember doing this.
Do you not remember that Detective Chimp cover you did with him doing a backflip?
Of course I do.
Yeah, that's your most iconic cover. How could you even forget it?
Yeah, it's burned in my brain, and I have stacks and stacks of copies of it over here.
Yeah, and it said at the bottom, art by Tom Taylor, didn't it?
Yeah.
See, I tried it all back together. People mistake you for Tom King, and Tom King gets mistaken for Tom Taylor. That's comics, baby. I did it. I'm the best. I'm never gonna die. I'm invincible. So anyway, yeah, moving on. I got a little bit carried away. I got a little bit carried away. But like, so have you improved as an artist over time? Like, do you look back at some of your early work and think, oh, shouldn't have done that? Or would you say
I
you
don't
know
think
more
of
about
it.
comics now?
I don't think of it as improved. I just think of it as grown.
Slightly less worst. Slightly less.
Slightly, yeah. Slightly less unreadable.
A little less horrible. Title of your
I mean,
autobiography. Little less horrible.
Yeah, a little less horrible. The Doc Shaner story.
With a cap on the cover, Detective Chimp in a cap. And then he has a little word balloon that says, "That's comics, babies. We did it."
Boom.
Boom.
And then I quit comics.
You can just finish now. Hang up your cap, like that iconic Spider-Man cover, where his costumes in the bin and he's walking away. It's just your cap in the bin and you walking away.
Doc Shaner no more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Walk down a rainy alley.
Or you just holding a shield on the ground. Or you jumping over a lightning bolt like that. I mean, we could probably do it, Old Man Shaner. There's so many different spin-off series, prequels. What could we do? But okay, so my last few questions. Say I said to you, what's your dream comic? If you could do a comic with any comic book character to ever exist in the whole entire world of comic books ever, who would it be? Because you could do loads.
That's the thing is my thought has been when I first signed on with DC exclusively, they asked who I wanted to work on, and I gave them a list of 4. And to varying degrees, I've gotten to do all 4 now.
Wow.
Just by being, honestly, I think in the right place at the right time. Not that I haven't worked hard, but it was Superman, Captain Marvel, Plastic Man, and Flash. So if anything, I'd say I would like to actually draw a Flash book. I've gotten to do a few covers now, and that's been great. But I would like to do an actual Flash book.
Oh, you'd be so good for that. I like literally just the way you color the red really pops out. And I think if I could see you on Flash, brilliant. Flash, and then okay, here's the story. He has Detective Chimp on his back, right? And then they're running out through. They go to Metropolis, right? And just imagine that detective, and he's carrying him like Yoda in Star Wars, like he's on his back training him, and it's just Bon Appetit. Yeah. My masterpiece of a plan.
Yeah,
I can see you fantasizing about now. Tom King, I'm coming for your job. Yeah, I know you're watching it. You're watching
he's got enough work. It's okay.
Yeah. He's too afraid. No, I'm sure that's it. Just let me live with my beliefs. But of course, what was I gonna say? Yeah. So like getting to work in comic books, do you ever just take a moment and then it's kind of surreal to see how many characters you've worked on?
Yeah, and that's I the long days where I'm tired and it's I've worked for long hours. I have to remind myself every now and then that if I could go back and tell 10-year-old me what I'm doing now, he'd never believe me. I've been extremely fortunate that things have gone the way they have.
Yeah.
So it's for as hard as it is some days, I love this job. I wouldn't trade it, but.
And thankfully, you're actually good at it, so that's a relief there for you, man.
I hope so.
Yeah. So, do you have any art heroes or people that inspired you to get into art, or just artists that you think are godly or anything like that?
Oh, totally. Growing up, it was all about Charles Schultz and Bill Watterson and any of the comic strip guys. But I think in high school, when I started getting back into comic books, the big three for me were Joe Kubert, Mike Wieringo, and Darwin Cook.
Wow.
And in pretty short order, like discovering them, and their stuff all spoke to me very deeply. And to this day, I'm a huge fan of their stuff. That's, influences will kind of come and go. Who I'm really jazzed about at any point in time. That'll kind of come in for a few months and then leave. And if I had to make a list, it would change pretty often. But the top three will always be those guys. So.
But did any of them ever work on Detective Chimp? Ah, that's the quality factor.
Kubert must have drawn him at some point. I'm not going to look it up, but must have.
There's a lesson here, but I'm not going to solve it. I'm sure it'll all come together. You probably
I'll let the monkey do it.
Yeah, we'll live in ignorance. Ignorance is bliss, as I'm sure that's what they say. But my last and final question for you is, if anyone is looking to get into art or just be a comic artist, what advice would you have for them?
My very broad advice is always to read as much as you can. Read as big a variety of stuff as you can. And because that's the best way to kind of figure out what your tastes are. Yeah. And it'll influence the way you work and what you're looking for. Because I know a lot of younger artists get caught up on kind of manufacturing a style, which I think is always a mistake, because your style just happens. It's not something you can work on and fine tune. What you can fine tune is your drawing skills and how you filter the world around you into comics in terms of storytelling. But a style just kind of arises out of what you're doing. But a lot of that is fed by what you read.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of folks make the mistake of only reading superhero books. And not just that, but reading a very specific type of superhero book. So my broad advice is always read as much as you can from all different angles.
That I don't think we could actually end it on a better note. Your advice is brilliant. But Doc, thank you so much for coming on. I'll talk to you a little bit after I finish this video. But thank you so much for coming on. It's been such a pleasure. Actually, maybe 2 years ago, I talked about this on my channel. I was like, Doc Shaner, yeah, he's the big artist who worked for DC. And now we're basically best friends, which is a little bit crazy. But, I suppose that's just life. It's been such a pleasure watching this, and I know all my huge fans are going to love this, as I'm sure you can imagine. We're going to branch out, make t-shirts. Like, there's so many marketing opportunities that have been in this video. Doc Shaner, no more. That's comics, baby. Detective Chimp. We're all going to tie it together. But yeah, is there anything you'd like to promote or talk about?
Oh, just Strange Adventures. That's
Strange Adventures.
Like you said, it ends on Tuesday, and issue 10 will come out, but it finishes this year, and then we'll see what's next.
I saw you cut out a little bit. What were you saying?
Just issue 10 is going to be out in 2 months. I think we're doing bi-monthly for the time being, but everything will be out this year, and then we'll see what's next after that.
Okay, so everyone, that's the new Strange Adventures issue 9 dropping this Tuesday. What date is that?
Oh crap!
The third. Come on, I actually have 30th? A calendar on my phone, and of course, 27. If it's going to be on Tuesday, it is the 30th of March. God nice. Damn, we got him at the end, didn't we? But got a 30th March. Make sure to pick it up from your local comic book store, whether that be Dublin City Comics, Forbidden Planet, or Big Bang Comics, or whatever your local comic book shop is. Special discount code is that's comics, baby. You can. That's basically that's not actually a discount code. Don't ask for that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And Doc, thank you so much for coming on. As always, please make sure to like and subscribe. I'm desperate. And please make sure to go donate to the National Deaf Children's Society. Link will be for that in the description. But yeah, thank you again, Doc, for coming on. And thank you all for watching. Stay safe.